Welcome to the Whiskey Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. And if this is your first time on the channel, if you could please do us a quick favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let us know what you think about this scotch, and we will get the conversation continued here at the Whiskey Explorer. And tonight, guys, we have an exciting one for you. We have got Highland Park Cask Strength Edition 1. Alright guys, so this is actually a last year's release. I was lucky to find this kicking around on the shelf still. It is release number 1 and we are already on to release number 2 at this point. I haven't had a chance to try release number 2, but I did have a sample of release number 1 and it was so good that I had to rush out and grab a bottle. And I grabbed this for about $125 Canadian plus tax. But we have to remember this is Highland Park, so anything Highland Park that isn't their entry level, which is the 12-year, is kind of pricey. That's just how it kind of is in the single malt world. There are those distilleries that fetch a little bit of a higher price point. This is an example of that. So this is actually bottled at a whopping 63.3% ABV, or at about, let's try to do that to proof, it would be about 126 proof. So this is a very high proof cask strength scotch. This is also NAS, so there is no age statement on this, but in researching this on Highland Park's website, it does say that it is non-chill filtered and bottled directly after maturation with nothing else added. So I have to assume from that description that it is also no color added, so it would just be picking up color from the cask. And this is aged primarily, it said on their website, in sherry seasoned American oak. All right, so that's a little blurb on this one here. I'm a huge fan of the Highland Park 12, so definitely, you know, when they released cask strength that wasn't a single barrel, I had to jump on it. When the single barrels do come here, like we had one way back when, I think it was like 2018 or 2019, in one of our annual spirit releases, and it was bottled exclusively for the BC liquor stores here in Victoria, BC, Canada. It was very expensive. I believe it was at least 190 or 200, but it was age stated, so it was actually a 12-year Highland Park or similar, and it was bottled at cask strength. So, you know, we're not getting an age statement here, but it's also a lot more affordable at that 125 price point. I know they have gone up. As you guys know, everything in the whiskey world is going up, especially bourbons, but this has also gone up. So I have seen this in stores now for at least 135 for the release number 2 or the second edition. I think they call it, yeah. This one doesn't have the edition number written. I can't remember if they call it edition or release, but anyways, this is the first one they came out with. All right, so let's take a quick look at the color in the glass before we go in for a nosing. So this is kind of a light kind of copper color to it, not super dark. I'm not sure on the age on this, but it being an NAS, I'm guessing it's under 10 years. I do think personally that if Highland Park did have a cask strength and it was aged 10 years, they would take that and put that as a bold statement on the packaging. So that's that. I'm just guessing here, but I'm gonna guess this is more like a 6 to 8 year scotch. It's hard to say. It could have some older scotches blended in there, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it from having tried a few drams of this already. All right, let's go in for a nose. Cheers. Oh man, this is such a good nose. I mean, I'm a Highland Park lover, so of course I'm gonna love this, right? But this is like a nice mixture of smoke, heather, kind of floralness, and then some ripe fruits in there as well. So there's some like orchard fruit, so maybe some pear, some apple, but also something sweeter as well, like a strawberry or maybe even a cherry. maybe a white plum, something along those lines. It's very nice and inviting on the nose, just a nice subtle smokiness to it. And it's that characteristic Highland Park peat that sets it apart from other regions in Scotland, like a peated Highland or an Islay Scotch. It's not that medicinal peat smoke. It's not the tar or the, say like a Ardbeg Ugadel, which is like very kind of meaty and smoked meats almost, which I also love that, but that's another story. But I do love that Highland Park heathered peat. So let's go in here for a taste on the palate. Cheers. Wow. That's a delicious dram. Wow. Super powerful, but the initial palate is so sweet, like vanilla cream, butterscotch, caramel, just almost like the best butterscotch ice cream you've had, like vanilla, butterscotch ripple, beautiful malty characteristic, tons of body to this, fully mouth coating, powerful at the 63.3% ABV. I personally don't think this needs any water at the 63.3% ABV. It's just a delicious dram. Then the finish is where you get the smoke, that light heathered peat that's just so unique and characteristic of Highland Park. And mixed in with that little bit of the heathered peaty smoke is, a vanilla custard kind of note, like a really nice vanilla note, butterscotch and toffee. So there's some sweetness to kind of accompany that smoky finish, smoky in the quintessential Highland Park way, that heathered peat that's just unique, that has that little touch of sulfur edge to it, like a struck match, but wonderful stuff here. Let's go in for a second quick sip, and we'll let you know what you think on the palate here. Cheers. So there isn't that orchard fruit that was on the nose. This is much more butterscotch, caramel, vanilla forward, malty, sweet notes, very sweet. And then there's that transition mid to late palate to the heathered peat smoke. Wisps of smoke continue throughout the finish. It's a really nice, long finish. You get a wonderful Scotch hug from this going down at that 63.3%. It's nice and warming. It leaves you kind of wanting to take another sip as well, which is fantastic. And now, just before we finish the review, we're going to add just a few drops of distilled water just to see if it opens up a little bit. I don't have much of this wonderful whiskey left in my glass, so I'm going to give it just a couple of drops and see if that changes anything here at all. See if it opens it up further or does anything to the palate. Cheers. Whoa. Okay. Do not add water. So that made it that just brought out so much more alcohol. Made it totally overpowering experience. Honestly, this does not do well with water in my personal opinion. When you add that water, it just bursts the alcohol through, and it's just like burning everywhere. Mouth, chest, throat, everywhere. And unfortunately, when you add water, you lose all of that beautiful, sweet, malty, honeyed kind of character that this dram excels at. Like, it has so much more honey, malt, vanilla custard, butterscotch, and caramel than the original 12-year Highland Park, which is the only thing I can really kind of compare it to right now that I have that's on my shelf. So do not add water. That's my take on that. This does beautifully at the 63.3%, and when you add water, it brings out a very astringent, alcohol-forward ethanol note, and I would stay well clear of that. That was not a good experience, so do not do that without that water. I'm not judging it on the water. That was an experiment just to see what it would do. It's not helping this dram. It's making it just not good. So avoid that, drink it at full strength, and I think if you're a Highland Park person, even if you're a lover of single malts, you like a little bit of peat in there, that nice soft heathered, honeyed peat, you're going to absolutely love this dram. This is a must buy for any Highland Park fan. So that's my take on that one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. Until next time, may your sails be full and your drams be fuller. Cheers.